It's been a minute since our last podcast. We've gotten a lot of feedback that was like, "Hey, when's the next podcast?" So we're making a point to do another one. I think if all goes as planned, we're probably gonna kind of crank things up a bit on the podcast. Maybe travel around with it a bit. Try to get some more content.
Travel the world.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from it, so I think we run with it. Kendall
We've got a first timer.
is on his first podcast.
I'm the podcast virgin for today.
I knew you were going there.
You set it up. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a place for us to just, I don't know, go deeper, be ourselves, give people a chance to know us a little more, and talk about nonsense. Some of it, well, hopefully most of it relates to hunting, but a lot of it doesn't. So, might ask you the Mike. Do you know about the Mike Tyson question?
I don't.
No, we can't waste that much time at the beginning of this podcast.
No, we won't do it at the beginning. Maybe we'll do it at the end. All right, so kind of an open-ended podcast. We don't have like a super specific topic, but I think we would start out by basically, I mean, it's the new year. It's 2022. Kind of talking about what our plans are, specific to spring, kind of going into summer, and then fall. We've already done a bunch of scouting up north. I think that we take a deeper dive on that. Kendall, you weren't there, so you may have an outsider's perspective of that. Similarities and differences of knocking up there versus down here, things like that. But I think first and foremost, we kind of get a game plan of this spring.
What was the last podcast we did? The one with Bill Spartan Forge?
I think.
The one that kind of spiraled downhill, and then
Yeah.
we kind of stopped after that
one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we let's dive into the couple trips we made up north to kind of fill people in on what we've been doing, because it's been a couple months since we dropped a podcast or much content. We did have Chris B in town and laid down some does. How many did y'all kill, or did we kill total?
We killed
11.
No,
2.5
12.
days. 12
12.
deer.
And Chris got blown at by deer, a lot of them. And I think he had never suburban hunted before. So, I think one of the stigmas about it is like, oh, deer smell humans, they don't care about human scent. Wind is not important. And the wind was switching where the first place that I put him at, and he got blown. I was across the pond from him. He got blown at multiple times.
Yeah, I went into my spot that was totally loaded and had the same situation. Wind was just swirling, and there was a group of, like, I don't know how many there were. They're traveling in like a group of 10, and I could see them 150 yards away, and they wanted to come in, but they just kept doing circles because they could clearly smell me.
I had the same thing happen to me on my side of the pond when I was hunting with Chris. Was I had a group come in downwind, smelled me, kind of lingering, circling around, like didn't like it, left, and never got a shot on any of those deer.
Yeah, I mean, when I was hunting that weekend too, I mean, I had deer below me. They knew something was up. Wind was blowing down the hill. They were acting totally squirrely. So you just
that doe you killed was going just back and forth like a pinball to get, because she knew
something
something was
was
up,
up,
but she was
yeah.
like not sure what it was.
right.
But anyways, with all those deer, most of those deer have been donated already. Took them to the processor, donated them. Used some of the funds from the Venison project that we've been working on for a while, at least a year now. I think it's been. So we filed the Venison project as a 501c3 nonprofit sometime last year, and if you guys aren't familiar with that, essentially we started a nonprofit that's very similar to like Hunters for the Hungry. If you guys have that in your state or your area, we raise funds through our platforms, and then we're partnering with some processors, some local processors to Atlanta, and essentially we enable you guys to drop deer off, and then we go and arrange for the deer to be picked up and distributed to some like local Christian ministries and shelters around Atlanta. The issue with this year was most of the processors around Atlanta got full almost immediately. And they couldn't
slam.
Yeah, so we had plans of announcing this Venison project and then at the beginning of the year and like having a ton of people participate, but these processors couldn't take enough deer. So we kind of got stuck in this spot of like, what do we do? So you've probably seen some posts from the last year or so of us talking about a processor, opening our own processor in Atlanta, and this issue of processors being full kind of brought that back, sparked that
But also
idea back up.
proximity to Atlanta. There's not any that was like reasonably close.
Yeah, they're
to
not
us.
close either.
Yeah. So
And
the distance thing was bad, but also even if you drove out there, they're full. So we're trying to find something that's like really local and give people the opportunity to impact the people in the city that they're hunting.
Yeah. So that's probably our number one priority right now is getting that figured out, and it's going to be very close to where we live on the north side of Atlanta. Kendall's a real estate development background guy, so he's been hounding the city the last couple weeks trying to get this thing approved because it's something that's never been done before in this city.
Right. So that they're really a little bit confused. So we're having to educate them on some aspects of it. But then they love the cause. They're excited about it. It's just working through zoning and trying to figure out how we do it.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't want to give away too much of kind of how we're setting this place up because it's very different than anything else out there. But that's part of the challenge of getting this thing passed through the city permitting process. But when it's done, and we're going to see to it that this happens for next year, wherever it has to end up happening. We might have to get a little farther away from the city, but we're going to make it happen, and it's going to be awesome.
Agreed.
So if y'all are interested in participating in that, just kind of stay tuned. We'll have a bunch of announcements as that kind of
I would think for Seek One, the mission behind Seek One, I mean, obviously, like, our faith is super important, but, like, something that's a big mission for us behind Seek One is to encourage more hunting in these areas. It needs to happen. There's overpopulation. I mean, the episode with Crispy shooting 12 deer, like, clearly overpopulation issues. But the problem is most of the people that hunt in these areas, like, you know, sometimes you're dealing with tighter property lines, and people are mostly buck hunting, passing on does, and they're really only targeting a buck. And a lot of, besides tight property lines, but like another problem is what we've said. If you shoot a deer in Atlanta, you got to drive an hour and hope that the processor's not full. So people are like, if I'm going to deal with a deer and dragging a deer out and all this stuff, like, it better be a buck. So there's a lot of bucks that are getting shot, but not a lot of does. And we want to make it easy, basically give those people an easy opportunity to implement deer management, which needs to happen, and then directly impact the people from the city. And I think from just like, if you're talking to a non-hunter, being able to kind of like articulate that and show that, like, hey, this is what hunters are doing in their communities. They're managing these deer, making sure that they're in healthier levels and a healthier balance, and it's literally going directly back into the city that these deer came from to help people that need it. From an anti-hunter's perspective on hunting, how can you look at that?
And it's making them safer.
Yeah.
So that they're, Bambi's not run out in front of their minivan when they're taking their kids to school.
So for us, like, it's a huge mission thing. Like, it's super, super important for us.
Yeah. I think we'll have opportunities for people to get involved, whether it's like helping distribute the like cooked meals from the Venison Project, just to like actually get out there and meet the people that are in need.
Yeah. And then even bigger than that, like, if we can get Atlanta figured out, the next step, Birmingham. Next step, Nashville. Next step, kind of hopefully branching out to being able to incorporate this into other cities, not just Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
because so many of these cities need the same thing.
Same story.
And so there's homeless, there's people in need. So, I mean, it really is a platform that could go anywhere.
Yeah. So that's like the big one on our radar. If y'all want to shift over to like what our plans are specific to hunts we got coming up. I mean, Drew, we focused more on turkey last year. It seems like we're going to do more of a blend of throwing some hopefully cool bass fishing stuff in there again. Drew and I have a bass fishing background. We both fished on college teams, and that was my first love was bass fishing. So I think we're going to throw some more of that in there. I know our turkey plans we're supposed to be going to Florida here in the next week. And so our buddy Ryan Nitz down there has an orange grove pond, and it's got giants in it. It's like this. I forgot. I don't know how big the Orange Grove Pond is. He said it's like at least 1,000 acres, something. Maybe it's a couple thousand acres.
Wow.
And right in the middle of
Wait,
it,
the pond? Oh, the property is 1,000.
there's
acres.
not a couple thousand
I
acre
was like,
pond.
dang.
That'd be
Well, that's what I was about to say. Man, that's one heck of a bass fishing
yeah.
pond there.
But they lost he swears this bass was at least 11 pounds the last time he fished it. He's caught
Jeez.
several 6 to 8s, and so I mean there's absolutely no telling what's in there. So I think we're gonna do that, and then hopefully kill some turkeys, or have some luck with some turkeys while we're down there. Maybe throw some hog stuff in there.
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're crawling with them down there. And then transitioning to that, was it Alabama that opens next after that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Alabama's March 25th. We'll be hunting opening weekend there. And then Georgia is April 2nd. I think Georgia and Tennessee are both April 2nd, if I'm
I think you're right.
Yeah.
remembering correctly. But, yeah, we got a couple spots in Georgia. I think I want to go hunt the Rock Quarry just because we potentially might be managing that place.
Dude, there was I had a trail cam picture of a double beard out there last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
So there are turkeys.
There's
I
birds
remember
out there.
asking you, and you said you weren't sure if there's a bunch or not.
there's
but
birds out there.
I definitely think we hunt that place.
I think we should try it for
And
sure.
then do some urban stuff. I think we're gonna do just a door knocking thing where we go right around, spot some turkeys, kind of up here where we live, and just go try to get permission and kill them. And then Tennessee
We're covered
is
in Tennessee. It's gonna be
if
lights
you want,
out.
if
Yeah.
you've never
Tennessee.
seen a turkey before, and you just want to lay your eyes on some, go to Nashville, Tennessee, because they are
Everywhere.
absolutely
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And Lee, you can probably fill in more on this, but we have like a 5 or 600 acre piece of property just outside of Nashville that we haven't been to yet, that we want to scout for deer because it's a ag field farm,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently it's loaded with turkeys too. So we'll
Supposedly it's covered.
probably do a little bit of scouting while we're turkey hunting.
Yep.
that
And then
place.
I was telling you about Derek today. He's a buddy of ours. He's a singer up in Nashville, and he's got some stuff that's up there somewhere. I don't know where specifically, but he's like,
You gonna lay down some tracks with them?
maybe. And seriously, guys, the hunting stuff is only it's a stepping stone for me to get into being a hit singer. That's really it.
Yeah,
That's my end game.
You had your chance talking to Rascal Flatts guy the other night.
Hey,
That's like
it's a
that's
seed.
your vibe. That's your genre. That's your pitch rather of your voice.
I don't know what my genre is. I feel like I could be like a Renaissance man, just do it all.
I don't know about that.
I can sing it all. Doesn't matter what it is.
Are you gonna do a Sequin anthem for us? Yeah.
Chris Jansen and we actually legitimately. I wrote
I know
one. I wrote one.
Oh, you did.
Hold on, I might still have these lyrics on my phone.
Oh gosh.
You've got to sing it. Right
This is-
now.
okay,
This is
I-
where we spiral out of control.
This is where I get into my element and my creative juices just start flowing. Let me see if I can find this.
Have you heard these lyrics?
Here it
Drew?
is.
I don't know.
So this is just the chorus part. There's a lot that goes into this, but I'm assuming.
Are you gonna sing it or are you just?
No, I'm not gonna
read it?
sing it.
No, you
Um,
have to sing it.
I'm not gonna sing it. The world's not ready. You've heard the song "Paint Me a Birmingham," right?
Oh,
is it
yeah.
Tracy
Now
Lawrence?
it's all coming back to me.
So you have heard this before.
Yeah, what you and I were singing a little bit when we were up in Nashville after we had talked to Chris and we started talking about this. So,
Yeah.
we
Is it Tracy Lawrence that sings "Paint Me
Yeah.
a Birmingham"? Okay, perfect. So the song is called "Can I Hunt on Your Hunting Land?" I swear, if a listener out there steals this song, I am going to be so pissed. Do we have a timestamp on everything that's happening right now so I can at least have proof these are my lyrics? I'll be livid.
This is technically first used or first to market with the lyrics. So
All right, so it's called "Can I Hunt on Your Hunting Land?" And this is just the chorus. So I got a lot to do here, but can I hunt on your hunting land? Kill a deer just the way I planned. Your little house on the edge of town. Deer running all the way around. Put a blind by your backyard. Swing. Put a salt lick out in early spring. For a while, he'll be on my trail cam. Can I hunt on your hunting land?
You've developed those more than last time we talked about this.
And then the other two lines I have is like in that song after that chorus, the lyrics are like, he was sitting there, brush in hand. My mind went to, he was sitting there, TV remote in hand. Like, I just knocked on the guy's door and he was sitting there with like the TV remote in his hand. So that's the last point I've
You're
gotten
starting to lose me here.
There's
I
I've
don't
got the
remember.
chorus. I've got the chorus. Just got to build everything else around it.
All right.
Anyways, back to turkey hunting and what our plans are.
See, going in this podcast, what I've ever thought, I'm going to dig out these lyrics from 6 months ago that I wrote, but somehow it always seems to go to those places. So
Hey, I think that's a great start, and I think you need to continue down the
There's
path,
something there,
'cause
right?
There's definitely something there.
okay.
What about this this potential world record growing
Yeah. So
lake pond that we might be going to?
I didn't, Kendall, you're unaware of this, but I was telling Drew
I
about
am.
it today. I think for the time being, I have to be kind of vague. But there is, I don't even know if I should say the state. I guess I can say the state, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's in Georgia. There's this guy that is a very well-off individual, and he is essentially trying to grow the next world record largemouth bass. I actually saw videos from his like facility today. Dude, it's a lab. Like it's a straight up laboratory.
It looks like a state fisheries department,
yeah.
like full-blown fish hatchery.
And they have like bass fry on like all these shelves in these different containers with like all the genetic makeups of all these bass fry. Apparently by controlling water temperatures and like sunlight and stuff, like they're able to make these fish kind of spawn like multiple times a year, pretty much when they want them to, I think. And they're crossbreeding like all of these genetics from all over the country. So like I think they're doing like swabs on a lot of these tournaments. If someone's catching like a double-digit fish, apparently all these are being like sent to this lab. It's insane. Like it
Sounds insane.
there's just 8-pounders. Like, I mean, there's hundreds of bass in these tanks, and there's 8-pounders just like been bigger than that, just like cruising all around. And they're like, yeah, that's like a 2-year-old fish.
Can I fish in the tank?
That was one of my first questions. And
Those fish were 8 pounds in that video.
some of them, yeah.
Dang, I couldn't tell if they were bait fish or like bass because there was no like
So those are
nothing
juvenile.
to gauge how big they were.
Right. Those are juvenile bass in one of those videos. There's some
Okay.
videos that there's several fish way over 8. I think they're mostly feeding them like massive goldfish, huge goldfish. They've
Do
apparently.
you know why goldfish?
No, I don't.
Because their fins don't have spines, I think, and they don't get caught in their throat and
Less of a
Is it-
chance for them.
yeah, something to go wrong and then them die, I
Yeah.
guess.
But allegedly they've grown several fish like 14, 15, 16 pounds, and they've turned them loose in like one of their lakes out there. It's a female-only lake. Well, they've got several lakes out there. One of them, I think, is their main fishing lake, and we were told if you could, for your best 5 fish, could probably bust 50 pounds out there. So there's kind of a deal where like they obviously want a little bit of like publicity or just like marketing, and we would do a video just like showing the facility because it's cool. I think people would enjoy seeing it, and they're like, you know, if you show a video of our place, like we'll let you fish here. It's like that's a fair trade all day long.
No doubt.
Pond where you can catch a 50-pound bag, done.
Hey, I just want to break the 10-pound mark. I've been fishing for a very long time.
This apparently
Yeah,
is
I
the
think
place
That
to do
that
it.
would be the spot. It sounds like to do it.
So yeah, they've got a main fishing lake, and it's just covered in grass, lily pads, like covered in huge fish. Apparently, they have another lake that's like female only, and they've only put fish like at least 8 pounds in it. And they've put some up to 16 pounds in it. I really don't know. Like, I haven't been there personally, so I'm just kind of going off of what I've been told and kind of shown.
Are there fish in there that they think could potentially be pushing like the 20-pound mark, or is it too young still?
So I don't know when they put that 16-pound fish in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's kind of what their thing is like they grow them to a certain point and then turn them loose in a lake.
I wonder what the limit is on how big they can grow them inside a tank before it's like they need a larger environment.
space.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. That's
What's the world record?
22 pounds.
No, it's like 25 now, I thought, right?
No.
Or did
So
that not get
there
verified?
was a 25-pounder caught. It was caught in California, but it was accidentally snagged off of a bed. In California, if you snag a fish, it's not a legal fish. Can't count it. So and then they weighed it. It was like 25-1. It's 100% the largest largemouth that's ever existed. The
Wasn't
fish's
there
name-
one in Japan that was like
Yeah.
25?
Oh, I
also?
know the history. Dude, I'm dialed on all this. I'm your
Okay.
guy. The fish's name in California was Dottie. It was caught multiple times over this year span. There's actually a really cool documentary about it on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty awesome. It's been caught multiple times. It was like 18, 19, 20 pounds every time it was caught. They caught it that one time, 25 pounds, and then I think the next spawning season they found it dead floating. There was the standing world record is currently tied. George Perry in, I believe, 1932 in South Georgia on Lake
Jackson?
Moultrie? Jackson?
I thought it was it was some oxbow.
This is
little
where we
oxbow
need a
lake.
fact checker.
I swear it was Jackson.
Google.
Was caught by George Perry, 22 pounds, 4 ounces. A guy in, I believe, Japan caught a bass, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer. That was 22 pounds, 5 ounces. It was 1 ounce heavier than the standing world record bass that George Perry caught in 1932. But according to IGFA, it has to be 2 ounces heavier than the current record to be considered the brand new world record. So it's technically a tie, even though his was 1 ounce heavier.
Lake Montgomery.
That's what it was. I knew it was an M.
Why does that
The
have
lake
to-
has since been drained. I don't think it exists anymore.
Why does it have to be 2 ounces more?
I don't know. I'm not Mr.
Because
GFA.
maybe there's just like too much variance in a scale for one ounce tolerance to overturn a record or something. I don't know.
So,
But
That-
we're gonna break it.
Yeah.
we just go catch a 32-pound bucket mouth. It's like, whoops. Obviously, I mean, you could go into the is that right? Kind of talk.
Should it count kind of deal?
Yeah. I
Does
don't know. I mean, that's a whole debate topic in and of itself.
Because it's being, quote,
Farmed,
farmed.
yeah.
Right.
But nonetheless,
Still seems pretty difficult because I think people would have done it. I mean, if you think about growing deer, they easily grow deer way bigger than the world record.
oh yeah.
I wonder
yeah.
why it's so much more difficult to grow a fish that much over the world record. And maybe just because it's body size. Like, if you're trying to grow a 700-pound whitetail, that might be similar to trying to grow a 25-pound bass. I
Yeah,
don't know.
possibly.
Sounds like a challenge for somebody. Anybody that wants to go for it, for the largest, fattest deer. Yeah.
I could get behind that instead of these deer farms trying to grow racks, just
Right. Go for the largest
Hey,
body.
absolute unit.
It's all about the meat these days.
That's
How
right.
much
That's
venison
right.
can you get
Yeah.
out of it? So
Yeah.
Anyways, derailing here, but nonetheless, it's a cool place to go and fish. And whether or not these fish were grown in a lab,
I
it's
don't
still
care.
going to be cool to catch them.
I don't care.
Yeah. I'm still going.
So that's one that I think we're pretty excited about. I think it'll be interesting to do. And then I mean,
A few other turkey trips.
just some turkey stuff.
But I think we're kind of trying to make like a few stories that we can follow along with throughout the season this year. And I think one of those that's going to kind of start up here pretty soon is managing the rock quarry.
Yep.
Potentially the rock quarry, maybe another property, but it's looking like it's going to be the rock quarry property. And kind of getting like just the management perspective of hunting. How many acres is that place?
I kind of want to be vague because I don't want people to find it, but I guess
I mean, just like to the hundreds.
Ocho.
Less of a chance that people speak Spanish.
Like
and
the
are gonna
people
find
that don't understand Spanish. Maybe that eliminates like 0.1% of people, but
They can't Google the
It'll
word
help.
Ocho. So anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna go and hopefully plant some food plots this spring. Do some shed hunting on that place. Do just like a one big trail camera survey of what deer are on the property, and then just kind of get a little bit, more of a perspective on that side of hunting, because there's for a long time like that was, as far as like hunting TV goes, like that property management, growing your own deer
That's right.
was a huge part of it, and it
Yeah.
still is. And I think it's like a ton of fun. Like I have a little bit of experience doing property management stuff, and just like manicuring a property and doing everything you can to just grow and hold deer is a ton of fun. So that'll give us more opportunities to do some different things here in Georgia, and I think that's going to start in the spring and kind of continue over the summer into the fall.
Yeah, I think it'll give us a good, just like different perspective on hunting. I mean,
Yeah.
I think like obviously the suburban stuff and knocking on doors is our niche, but like I want us to be an advocate for all hunting, whether that's you got a big chunk of private land you're able to hunt, or you're hunting public land, or anywhere in between. Like I don't want to rule anything out for us. I think doing the land management stuff would be a good change of pace for our channel. Do something different. People can kind of see the progression of the property as
And
we
I
kind
just
of
honestly, I just want to see you forced to spend the night at the haunted quarry.
Dude, that's gonna be the worst part.
We'll renovate one of those little sheds right by the quarry to sleep in, a little bunkhouse with the spirits.
We'll have to have some dares of like you have to like stay in
No.
a certain part of the quarry for a certain period of
Dude,
time.
I'm for real. That place is no joke. If there's I'm so serious. I'm not kidding at all. The stories that I've heard from out there, and these are from like we used to let a group of Navy SEALs hunt it, and these guys are no joke. Like they kill people. They're not like, they don't joke around.
They're not the.
They're not full of crap.
They're not the sissies that thought they
No.
saw something when they went into the woods
No.
like it was.
But even they were like,
He's like, don't spend the night there.
yeah, he's like, don't. And then he told me some stories. We can kind of probably tell some more of those on another time. But like, that's
Maybe we do a podcast from the quarry at night and tell the stories.
the electronics won't work.
That's true. That's a good
The
point.
last time we were out there, like throughout the night, flashlights quit working, radios quit working, like
true.
cell phone service was dropping.
I had 3 flashlights. Every single one of them
Is
died.
this like Bermuda Triangle?
Yes.
Like I got in my truck and like none of my like the electronics, like I couldn't get the radio to turn on. It was just weird. And as soon as we left the property, everything came back on. Flashlights that were not working.
I'm intrigued now.
It's true.
Dude,
I'm ready.
I could
ready
see
to
you
go.
being into like ghost hunting,
Yeah.
ghost busting.
Oh yeah.
if there's
I'm already getting into this.
if there's a like a Ghostbusters or like Ghost Hunters YouTube channel, maybe we do a collab and bring him out there sometime this summer.
That sounds awesome.
That's the part that scares me is like if something were to happen, I feel like it would change my life forever.
And you would never go there again?
No, I wouldn't. Like my life would never be the same. Like period. Like if something so drastic happened, I wouldn't be able to live at home alone anymore.
Drew and I will be getting phone calls at like 2:00 in the morning. Hey man, what are you doing? Can you come over?
I'm not kidding. If something drastic happened, I'd probably have to have some sort of therapist, and there is no way I'd be able to live by myself anymore. Because I would feel like whatever we encountered out there
You'd only hunt mornings.
just
You'd
followed us home.
only get in the stand after daylight. And
I just hunt the middle of the day.
You'd probably kill like all the biggest
giant,
deer.
right?
So anyway, moving on from the quarry. So yeah, we're kind of trying to have like, I wouldn't say a series, but just kind of like a common theme for the season. And one of the themes is going to new cities and trying to find another gigantic urban whitetail. And whether or not that is a 200-inch whitetail or just trying to find something that's just on that next level,
Yeah.
were essentially scouring the entire
Because they
northeast / east.
They exist
to try
out
to
there.
find
They're
one.
there.
They absolutely
Yeah.
exist. Before we go into this, we can say states. We cannot say cities.
Okay.
That's just a reminder. Trying to be vague
I mean, we've
here.
already been to how many states? 3? 2?
Kentucky, Ohio,
should be
Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw Indiana in there as well.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can't tell you where, but because then we'll give away too much.
Yeah,
I've
because
got-
you can't say cities.
Yeah.
Or do you have a lead you're just not telling me about?
No, we've talked about this.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think that is kind of what, like, I guess originally set us apart was people couldn't believe the deer we were killing out of Atlanta. Just couldn't believe it. They were like, I mean, dude, you know the stuff I went through with the first like when we killed Charlie. I mean, dude, I had the game wardens calling me, and they were like, take us out there. You need to walk us around, this, that, or the other. And I'm like, guys, what are you hearing? And they're like, Lee, people, they were like, we heard, this is where the helicopter thing originated. They're like, Lee, we literally heard that you were flying these deer from high fences from up north in a helicopter and dropping them off here in Atlanta and then hunting them. Like, he's like, we have heard everything. People just do not believe that is a Georgia deer, like, that came from Atlanta. And that was like the original thing that people were just in disbelief about, was like some of the size bucks we were killing. And it's because we were hunting areas where they were getting to the right age.
Well, what happened to the 4-pointers that we kept flying in? Like, they just got bigger.
Yeah.
You don't have to fly in these gigantic deer. They're going to get big if they get mature. So
There was a comment someone left on our YouTube channel. I screenshotted it, and this guy literally, he's not like, literally believes that we fly all of our bucks in on a helicopter and hunt them in Atlanta. Like, he didn't say it as a joke. He wasn't saying it just to be funny. Like, he said it in a way, he's like, I believe they do this.
Makes sense.
And so that gave us another podcast idea of just like screenshotting ridiculous comments
and
and reading them.
and merch idea for a T-shirt.
Yeah. Someone said that too.
That's a good
Oh
idea.
yeah, no, I think it'd be awesome.
So when he's kind of getting back on track, like that, I think that in and of itself of just like finding a super unique animal in a unique place is kind of like the mission we're back on.
Yeah, and just taking what we've learned and developed here in Atlanta and applying it in these other states.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just like we have spent so much time hammering Atlanta. It's getting harder and harder to find mature deer here. And it's also just fun going to like new territory,
It's because some
new environments.
douchebags let out the secret.
Yeah, I don't know. why
Yeah, I
they
don't
do
know who that was. that
Ruined it for everybody else.
that and the poachers that decide to go and hunt wherever they so choose.
That's true. That's a whole other podcast in itself too.
Yeah.
But we say that jokingly. Like, I'm actually really glad that suburban hunting has become so popular because it's giving people the opportunity to get out and hunt.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many direct messages I've gotten over the past couple of years of, younger guys, my age, to where they're just like, you guys introduced me to hunting. If it hadn't been for you, I never would have thought about getting a bow or whatever. And like, that is what it's about. It's about getting kids and anybody who could possibly enjoy what we love out in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And we have made a big impact, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Definitely worth
always
it.
more important than killing another big deer in my book.
Oh, 100%.
And it's more important than keeping it all to ourselves.
100%.
Nothing. Not that anything's wrong with keeping it to yourself, but for us, it's like it's a story that's worth sharing.
Yeah. I mean, running into Zach this year, I passed up 100. I gave him my spot to hunt 160, 170 inch deer. And it was just because, and I honestly, like, I don't know if that's just the maturity that we've kind of all gotten to, like the place we've all gotten to. But in my heart, I was like, I genuinely would want to see him take that deer as opposed to me
Right.
just shooting another buck. And that's kind of my our mindset on all of it is that like we want people to have those experiences too. So is there more competition than ever here in Atlanta? Absolutely, 100%. Is it an awesome thing though that people are getting to get out, get excited about it, and find new opportunities and from door knocking? Absolutely, it's awesome.
Right.
So, yeah, to Drew's point, we're taking that on the road, going to other places where, I guess more traditional states where just huge deer exist in general. Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, and each state has its own different, unique set of challenges. And you never really know like what you're getting into until you actually get boots on the ground. And each state and area is different for sure. I know my pitch gets tweaked kind of here or there depending on each particular scenario. But I think that's kind of one of the goals this year is to find one of those like mega giant deer. Whether it's a 200 plus, like yeah, that'd be sick. But if it's not, and it's like a 170-inch 8-pointer or a 170-inch deer in general, like not gonna be disappointed in that at all.
Are we allowed to talk about the mega giant that you've already found?
There's which one?
The 230.
You were gonna show me a picture of a deer.
Yeah,
or something
I'll still
that,
show it to
that
you.
I haven't seen possibly.
Is that it? I mean, we don't have to
Here,
get
I'm about to drop
details on
a
it.
power statement. I backed off on a 230-inch deer at a spot I got permission to hunt behind a church. Called the church, talked to the pastor. Everything's great. Got permission. Went back, and some of the trees were. I've never seen trees like this destroyed in my entire life. There was a guy hunting next door. He was actually hunting when I went to put out a camera. Guy's been hunting the deer for several years, and I'm like, I don't want to hunt next door to somebody. And I also just like respect amongst hunters. He's been hunting it for several years. I'm just like, man, I'll like leave this general area alone to you. But that deer's every bit of 230.
Like they found the sheds. It's
Oh, yeah.
scored it. It's 100% 230 plus.
Yeah. And
Insane deer.
How old do we
And he made it
think
through the
that
year.
deer is? Like mature wise, going up, going
he's
down?
going up. I mean,
Yeah.
he was according to this guy, he was 200 the year before, 230 this year, and he made it through the year. There's no telling what he'd be next year.
Well, depending on how old he is.
I think that the guy's saying, 6,
Okay.
6, 7 maybe.
So he could absolutely
yeah, not like
just
past his prime yet.
right. He could just blow up.
But that's the kind of potential.
What happens
that,
if that deer hits like 280?
I don't know, man. Maybe I find another area like away from that area that's in the deer's area, or in the deer's range. I don't know, man. That's
part of hunting is competition too. So, but I know what you're saying.
I'd be looking at this guy the whole time. We'd be looking at each other.
Waving, just
Might as well just both sit in his blind and just whoever pulls the trigger first.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Deer.
pull straws and figure out who's
Um,
gonna shoot for the day.
I'll say something that's consistent across the board of wherever we go, city-wise. There's people doing this.
Oh yeah,
There's hunters everywhere.
that was my issue. Like that city that we're talking about. So we went up right after the archery trade show back in January. Went straight from there up to this city in Ohio, and spent 4 or 5 days knocking.
Yeah.
We kind of just divided and conquered, and I went one direction, you went the other, and it seemed like everywhere I went there was people hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, I did land some spots, and most of the spots I landed were like the stuff that's a little bit tighter, like closer into town. But like even the spots I landed, they were like, oh yeah, like so and so used to hunt here. They just haven't been back in a long time. The neighbor lets people hunt, whatever. And like where you were, it sounded like
I had
very
less
few
pressure.
people. Yeah.
And the reason was I think I had all the spots marked that I believe you went to.
Yeah.
They were the most obvious stuff, larger chunks. And I think if like most of these places we're going, if it's like an obvious spot, it's been asked.
Yeah.
I was in places that are more like it'd be way harder to find on a map. They just don't stand out. And I did still run into hunting pressure, but not as much as you were,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Well, that's kind of what our niche has always been too, is finding those smaller individual like funnel areas or whatever
Yeah.
that people don't think to, oh, I'm going to go knock on that 2-acre piece of property, which is the money spot.
Yep.
It's just they're like, a lot of people have had the mindset of, I need 10 acres to be able to hunt.
So I'll transition to this point because it runs hand in hand with a Michigan deer. That I have a flight tomorrow morning at 7 in the morning. I'm going back to Michigan. I drove there after NWTF, just to knock on doors. Drove back. Flying back up there because I'm wanting to make sure that some of those maybes that I got, just following up, turning to yeses. And I feel like if I can spend the spring and summer and make sure I've got a few spots landed, that it would hopefully pay off in the fall.
Right.
Because if I'm spending the fall up there and I'm, knocking and trying to hunt at the same time,
Yeah.
like sometimes you knock on a door, it takes a month, 2 months, 3 months to get permission.
Or you get a yes, and then you go set everything up, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we changed our mind.
Right. So I'm wanting to make sure like months in advance that I'm good and I've got some spots. And transitioning to the point of what you were saying, there is a buck up there that is an absolute freaking giant.
Is this the deer he has not seen pictures of?
I'll show you a picture.
I think you
You've
sent it to
seen
the
it.
group.
I think I've seen a picture of it.
I'll show you this picture of it though.
Maybe I haven't seen.
Have you
this
not seen the
picture.
230?
He's definitely seen the 230.
You know, I just never know with Lee. Yeah, he's always sending me all these giants, and I just can't keep up. I have a hard enough time keeping up with the deer that I find, which aren't 230 inches, by the way. Yeah, I haven't seen that picture. It's really small. I know you guys can't see it.
Is that why your eyes got so
Yeah.
big?
He's squinting.
I think that deer's like a Zeus level deer, like comparison wise.
Yeah, that's a really cool deer. Awesome tine length, super wide. Got some junk.
He's 200.
Got some junk in the trunk.
So
So
here's the situation with that deer is what I've been able to figure out with just my limited time up there for a few days knocking. The obvious spots, all of them have hunters. All of the larger blocks in that area have hunters. They are 100% hunting that deer, and this deer seems to be avoiding those larger blocks because that's where he's experienced pressure. What I've seen is that deer's been posted on social media, Facebook and stuff. People are saying he's been shot before. So
most of these deer have.
Yeah.
When they
it's
get that old and that big, they've been shot before.
yeah.
multiple times,
yeah.
sometimes.
So what I believe is happening, because we've seen this here and we've seen it time and time again, I think that buck is avoiding these larger blocks of woods where he's experienced hunting pressure, and he's hanging in these tinier blocks. There's certain areas that you can hunt, certain areas you can't. Most of this deer's range is unhuntable. But he spends part of his range in a place that he is huntable, and those larger blocks are being hunted. There are pictures of this deer around, and it's because he's wandered through people's backyards, just cruising. And on paper, if someone were to just look at a picture of this deer or a video that someone's taken of this deer just meandering through someone's backyard, they'd be like, what are you talking about? That deer's so easy to kill. Where's the challenge in that? But it's like once you really dive into it and understand what's happening, that deer's never, ever, ever experienced pressure in those tighter places.
Right.
But he's more visible to, people that live there and stuff. He's purposely avoiding these areas that he's being hunted. He knows where he's never experienced pressure in his entire life, and he's staying in those places as much as he can. And like he's probably 7, 8 years old. Like he's smart. I mean, he's been hunted his whole life, and he's still alive. He's been shot, And I think that it's a similar deal at all these, deer in some of these areas.
Yeah, and when you say he's in like these smaller, tighter areas, that doesn't mean he's sticking to one small area.
No,
Like
right.
he's got a network of small areas that they bounce around, essentially unpredictably. You can't bait in Michigan.
You can't, not only can you not bait
You
to
can't
hunt
even
over.
you can't.
If you were Miss Betty and you wanted to see some deer in your backyard and throw some corn out, can't do it legal. You get rid of the ticket.
For
you can't put out
CWD purposes.
Yeah, can't put it out at all. So that deer, he travels like crazy. This is what I've learned. Just with what I've been able to learn, travels a massive area. He's been seen 2 miles this way, 2 miles that way, 2 miles to the south, 2 miles. Like just, I'm not being literal, but like he's covering miles of territory.
Very unpredictable.
Super unpredictable. Covering a ton of area, but it seems like he's avoiding some of these certain areas that he just kind of knows he shouldn't go to. So,
but what you're getting at is, if you were to somehow kill that deer, which would be extremely difficult, coming in from out of state, it's hard enough doing it here in Atlanta where we live. One of those pictures is probably going to pop up where someone took a picture from their kitchen window and the deer's like feeding through their yard or, sneaking by. And they're going to be like, oh, you killed the neighborhood pet deer.
Yeah.
I could have walked up to him.
100% those comments will be made. No doubt.
Yeah.
And, to me, like, I've actually talked to a lot of people about this because, like, I am concerned that, like, I don't want people to just see that and draw that conclusion. I think it's 1 in 100 that I kill this deer. I've got other places up there, and I've seen some other good sign that this deer definitely didn't make. So it's not like I'm only going because of that deer. There's just, if a deer like that exists in that area, there's got to be others.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm not putting all my eggs in that deer's basket, but I think it's like 1 in 100 that I actually could kill the deer. But that is one of my concerns, is that like to your point, someone sees that deer or a video, because it will come out for sure if I killed it, because it's so big. If it was a 130-inch deer, nobody would care. But this deer's a mega giant. And I'm sure there's going to be those comments and feedback that don't get like the full picture of it. And here's what it boils down to too. And if there was not a significant challenge to it, I would lose interest so fast. I don't care how big the deer is.
The deer wouldn't be alive if there wasn't a significant challenge
Right.
to it.
Right.
Anybody like that
Yeah.
hunted in that area would just walk up and shoot it if you could, but you obviously can't.
Yeah. I was talking to Andy May about it. He was, one of his comparisons that he was familiar with was he was talking about some of the mule deer in Colorado.
Out west, yeah.
And he was like, some of these mule deer are giants.
Yeah.
Like way over 200, and you'll see them laying down in people's yards.
Backyards and
Front yards.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like just chilling.
Yeah. The whitetails here do not do that like the mule deer do out there.
Yeah, they don't. But that was sort of his comparison to it, because he was like, he's like, I can't tell you how many people are trying to get permission or try to hunt like on the edges of the cities.
Yeah.
And people have been hunting this specific 200-inch deer that people see in their front yards laying around for years, and every single year they're not able to do it. And it's just like, again, on paper you'd be like, where's the challenge? But then when you actually get into, all right, we have to kill this deer, everything has to be on the up and up, it has to be ethical, it has to be legal, that's where the challenge lies. Like, if you're walking down the sidewalk and you saw one of those mule deer in Colorado and you had a bow, sure, you could shoot it, but you're probably going to be in some serious trouble.
well, and that's not hunting.
And there'd be no
It's
point
not
to
hunting.
it.
Yeah, no, that's not hunting.
That's not the challenge.
No.
But even like, I think a lot of people will draw the conclusion that the challenge with the urban hunting stuff is just getting the permission. Like once you got the permission, the deer's dead.
It's a step.
Which
part
is
of it.
so far from the truth. Like,
Yep.
There's a reason these deer are getting 6, 7, 8 years old, 190, 200 inches. Like, they're smart. They're getting hunted, and they're still surviving. And they're surviving in areas where there's hunting pressure and plenty of property to be hunted. So,
I think Michigan, from what I've told, I mean, I have super limited experience there, but is like one of the most, has like the highest number of hunters of
yeah.
any state. So I can assure you, if there's a buck like that people are aware of in a place that he can be hunted legally, I would guarantee you that there are people that are more than I've even become aware of. The only reason I know of these other guys is because I knocked on the doors and they were like, oh, yeah, we have someone that hunts here. I guarantee you there's way more people that are hunting that deer that I am totally unaware of.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, I mean, it kind of boils back down to it. Like, if there was no challenge, if you walked up and shot a deer off the sidewalk, one of those mule deer in Colorado, it would do nothing for any of us. It'd be so unrewarding. For me, like, I have pretty significant reactions when I shoot a deer, and it's because, like, I've put so much effort, we all do, into the deer that we're chasing. If it was just, like, easy and there was not much work into it, it'd be nothing to us. We would have lost interest in what we're doing years ago.
Right.
But that challenge, like, if that challenge is not there, it doesn't interest me or any of us at all. I wouldn't care to drive all the way, 10, 12 hours, however far it is from Atlanta to Michigan. I wouldn't care to fly back up there to follow up on spots just to make sure I've got some places to hunt up there next year. If it was just a cakewalk, I wouldn't care.
Well, it's just everybody loves hunting new terrain, right? And this is the opportunity for us to get out into different states and experience that on the urban side of things. With the rock quarry and stuff, we're going to get to experience like the big woods and managing big woods. But, urban hunting, suburban hunting in some of these states that we're going to have giants. And it's going to show that across the board as we continue to go to new states. Like, we're going to find giants.
Yeah. Yeah, we get so many pictures sent to us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, of just giant deer, and especially in cities that you would not expect.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking like North Carolina,
Yeah.
Orlando,
South
Florida.
Carolina, Florida. Yeah, just like places where you're like, what?
Yeah.
There's no way. I've never even seen a picture of a deer killed in that state that big. And so
And the day and age of social media, I mean, you get wind of a lot of deer and just
Yeah.
stuff. And it seems like if there's any, sort of like clip that's taken of a deer in a suburban environment, we're tagged in it on Facebook or Instagram like 25 times.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. So some of these deer that we're chasing are leads that we've been sent, or, friends that live in the areas are talking about.
By the way, send all of your leads to Go Lightly
So,
Kendall on Instagram.
But I would still say like the majority of these places we're hunting, we're not chasing a specific lead. I mean, we know that there's good deer in the area, but we're still just going out and scouting and just kind of finding these areas that look good.
100%.
As long as we know we're in cities or general areas that have the potential to grow big deer.
Yeah.
Good genetics,
I mean,
matured.
at the end of like chasing down these leads like this, it's so hard to get to a point where you actually have you find out exactly where the deer is, because no one just like, or sometimes they do, but rarely they're like, oh, took this picture of this address on this, this street, whatever. Like you have to figure out where those pictures are taken.
Well, it's so hard in and of itself to chase a specific animal.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, you get sent a big deer. Well, it's like,
What time of year was it?
yeah,
Where he could
is
be
he
completely-
way out of his range? Was he just chasing a doe like 5 miles away from where he
Yeah.
hangs out? So it's like chasing a specific deer is so difficult. But getting leads like that at least keys you in on certain areas that are
Right.
producing deer like that.
I mean, you could go up to Michigan, up to Michigan tomorrow and drop a camera on a piece of property, and that deer could be 100 yards away, and you just never get a picture of him.
Yep.
Until he starts moving, like in October.
Yep.
And I mean, how many times could you do that before you pinpoint where that deer is?
Yeah. It's
So you can't get like too caught up in trying to find one specific animal.
the hardest part about Michigan specifically is, I mean, I'm just going to have to put cameras on just kind of highly used areas, trails. I can't really put them on scrapes because I'm basically going to put cameras out now that will hopefully last into the summertime. So major trails, maybe some kind of field areas. I got permission on one swamp that's got some crazy trails going through it that'll probably be pretty good. But
Maybe watering holes.
yeah, so it's not like a deer could walk. A trail camera is only giving you a glimpse, a fraction of what's happening in an area. So it's like, you know, I could have that buck walk right behind my camera 5 times. I have no idea he's in the area, and you know, it's just so hard to be 12 hours away or however far it is and not be able to just go do rotating cameras, go change stuff around. It's like I'm gonna have to. It's a gamble. I mean, it's going to be a total shot in the dark. It would be impossible to chase like a specific deer like that. It would be way more likely to say, I've found an area that's got good deer. I'm just going to go hunt, and if a deer comes by that I want to shoot, I'm gonna do it.
Well, the other thing is too is think about how difficult that would be if we didn't have the use of cell phone
Cameras. It'd be impossible.
I mean, that's what it really is a game changer. But I do know certain states are starting to outlaw cell phone trail cameras. But they're such a tool, especially when you hunt out of state and you're hunting new areas. I mean, it's a game changer, and really does save a ton of time.
Oh yeah.
So I was on my way home from Michigan last time. I was door knocking in Ohio. I know I told you this. I don't know if I told you this. Not following any sort of specific lead. It's just we know there's big deer in this area, this city, whatever. I'm driving down this driveway. They own, I think it was like 5 to 10 acres. I can't remember how big it was. But driving down this driveway, look over to my left, and I see in someone's like yard, their just outdoor furniture.
You did tell me this.
This chair.
Yeah.
Dude, it was a skull of for sure minimum 180. Minimum. I think the deer is probably 192 to 200 inches. Because I pulled my binos and looked at it, and half its rack was chewed off by squirrels. But you could tell, like, he just big frame, and then at the end of his left side just had just stuff going. And I'm like, this is probably a pretty good area. And I landed that spot. So, like, I have no clue what is there, but I'm really excited to see, you know, what.
Didn't the
what
landowner
shows up.
say that there's a bigger
Bigger
one?
one?
Still
That's what he
alive?
said. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, that buck in the back ain't." Excuse my language. He was like, "That ain't shit. That buck in the back ain't shit." It's like you should see the one I call Holy Spirit that I see running around. He's like, he's a big son of a bitch. It's like, well, if he's bigger than that 180 in the backyard, I mean, there's no telling. There's no telling.
In
what's
an area
around.
that's been known to grow
Giant.
Huge deer.
250 class deer.
Yeah, huge deer. So I think that with enough probing, I think that we'll stumble upon something, hopefully.
What's going to happen is one of us is going to find a giant. We're going to go up there and spend the entire season trying to kill it. And
Waste our
we're
whole
not
season.
going to kill it. And probably rack up a $50,000 hotel bill.
Yeah. We're going to do some public land stuff, too.
Yeah.
I want to hunt public in Alabama.
Yeah, so I guess the other kind of I'm doing all that as well. I went up to Ohio and Kentucky and Indiana to knock on doors and plan on going back at least 1 or 2 more times this summer. But I'm starting to branch out into some things that I've always been like really, really intrigued by. And that's going west. At least calling me a Westie.
Take me with you.
You're a
Going
Westie,
full
dude.
Westie, but I've just always loved it out there. I love the mountains. I love getting like physical with terrain, just going out and hiking and camping out for days on end. I did do a elk hunt last year in New Mexico, which I didn't ended up killing anything, but I had like I think 7 encounters where I literally needed the bull to take like 2 more steps, and it would have been game over. And wind swirling, cows spotting me, whatever, just like little things going wrong, prevented me from actually killing one. But had a blast out there, and I think I'm going to go back to New Mexico this year for an elk hunt. I've been putting in, Kendall and I actually have both been putting in for tags. Put in for Arizona and Utah so far. But both, like, everything we put in there, if we're the luckiest person in the world, we might draw one of them.
Right.
But,
Yeah. I've been putting in Nevada for 3 years now.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. But like these tags we're putting in for are less than a 0.1% chance of drawing with no points, or even like with a handful of points.
Right.
So most likely I'll end up just hunting the same general area in New Mexico as I did last year.
But you had some really close encounters. I mean, you were
I
on
mean,
you were on them.
Second day, this was my first elk hunting experience, and we'll drop this episode kind of probably sometime in August this year. Second day, and this is my first time like really calling too, because I kind of dabbled a little bit, like messed around just kind of for fun, but I went out there by myself. It was just me and a cameraman, so I was calling for myself, like doing everything myself. And my experience is I've filmed a couple elk hunts. But beyond that, like I've never had to be the one making the decisions or calling.
Yeah.
Second day, get down there, looking around this massive unit, kind of had an idea where to start, and I'm just kind of like riding around bugling in the middle of the day, trying to strike one up, and strike one up at like 2:00. Kind of start like calling them into me, and we like kind of run up to try to set up in this like thick brush, and a freaking like 320 bull comes in, like just middle of the day, second day, comes straight in, bugling his head off, comes to like 40 yards, and needs to take probably 5 more steps on that one to get into this clearing. And by that point, I just like shut up because he could see where we were.
Right.
And I didn't want to like give away our exact location. And so I didn't have anyone back behind me calling to like pull him past us. And I think either the wind swirled at the like perfectly wrong time, or he just knew that he had pinpointed my call
Didn't see
and
anything.
didn't see anything, didn't see the cow or the bull, and it was like, must be a hunter. So he just spun around, took off. And we actually called that bull back in 2 more times, like the next couple days, but same kind of deal happened. Like he knew something was up. He was on edge, but we chased a herd of elk for probably 4 hours one of the days, just like to exhaustion, and just didn't have it happen, but it was awesome. So I got an unfinished story to wrap up in New Mexico this year, but we're also doing, and I guess I'm the only one doing this as well, but I put in for a Utah general season mule deer tag.
Is that when the gator season is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna be hunting the gator.
Dude, I
the gators.
The gators. Yeah, I think that's what makes us a good blend. Is like we're all different. We all like doing different things. I love alligator hunting. I love shark fishing off the beach. I know that Drew would rather watch paint dry than shark fish off the beach. I would love to do it. So I'm excited to go back down and alligator hunt.
I'm not going mule deer hunting, so just saying.
Maybe you can tag along.
You want to go gator hunting?
Yeah, I like shooting gators.
The medulla oblongatas.
So that's that the Utah mule deer season starts like August 15th, I think, somewhere right in there.
Nice.
So that's gonna be the first season, big game season to open. High country, like really high country, really rugged stuff.
I'll make my way out there with
Public
you eventually.
Land. Okay.
Eventually.
You're gonna do all the legwork, and then
I'll do some elk calling for you. I'll go behind you and
okay.
call some elk.
All right, here we go. So I think those are the 2 main Western trips. We're gonna go shoot a total archery challenge out in Park City.
I'm looking forward to that.
Which is gonna be fun.
I wish I could attend, but I'm gonna be in.
We're doing the Tennessee
Yellowstone.
One? Yeah, doing the Tennessee total archery challenge.
Those are fun. I really liked the one we did last year.
Yeah.
That was a
yeah,
good
that
time.
was fun.
Are we gonna hunt Texas?
I think, yeah. I mean,
We
I
should.
think we're kind
The plan is to hunt Texas.
yeah. I think we keep
Semi-
it in the mix.
Semi-urban. It's almost like urban public land, but we'll also go knock on some doors as well in an area where we've also been sent pictures of just like world class like mega giants.
Yes, I'm in.
Biggins.
I've seen and heard of these deer.
There's some dandies up there.
Like Yeah, mega whoppers. I had a guy, speaking of just like social media and stuff, I mean, I had a guy send a DM and he was like, I hunt this area of Texas, which is sort of close to where this public is. And he showed me a picture of a deer that was like, I mean, it looked fake. It may very well have been fake, but he swore that it was from that area. And
From the area that we're talking about
Yeah.
hunting? Really?
yeah,
Like recently?
no, I think the deer was there. I think he said it was like a year old, and that was last year he sent it, so it's probably a couple years old. But if he's there, there's
You didn't share this picture with us,
Mm-mm.
did he?
No, I think he keeps a lot to himself.
I know, right?
I do keep a lot to myself.
Again, please send all leads to Go Lightly Kennel at Instagram.
I think that's mostly it, right? Anything else?
I mean, there's other. Yeah,
There's a lot we can keep talking about.
we
but
have some other stuff mixed in there. I think we'll probably try to do the Sika deer again in Maryland. Potentially doing a summer trip for axis deer.
Mm-hmm. In Hawaii.
Maybe Hawaii. We're still trying to get
It'd
that
be
worked
so
out.
Cool to bow hunt
That'd be
Hawaii.
awesome.
And then also we're going on a late season hunt with Bo Martonic up in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, I think that's where we decided on in December.
I was gonna say something about Bo, not in a joking like talking crap about him. He's on a huge deer up there. Like,
Oh, is he?
oh, dude,
I didn't know that.
giant deer.
Public land?
Actually, no. I think this is like some private he has permission at.
Gotcha.
I don't want to say too much because I don't know, what I should and shouldn't say or what he would not want me to say. But
Well, you already gave it away.
yeah, I was asking him.
He's
to send
probably
me
gonna have
some
tracking
coordinates.
devices on his car here soon.
So, but he's potentially on something. That's all I can say.
Okay, fair enough. Well, hopefully he's killed it by the time we're.
Yeah, I was about
supposed
to
to
I
say.
sit
mean,
down
this
with him.
this deer could also be a fake. He's swearing that it's not and says it's not, but you look at. Apparently, they found the sheds off this deer, and it's like 230.
Really?
Yeah, 220
Dang.
plus for sure.
Dang.
So, anyways,
It's gonna be a full season.
yeah,
That's for
that's
sure.
kind of
Lots going on.
yeah. We're gonna be all over the place for sure.
Doing our best, like we said, going up on these door knocking trips over the summertime to get these spots set and just kind of have a game plan, because going into the season trying to shoot from the hip and land spots and find deer, it's
do it.
impossible to manage that many trips in that many states and be successful.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to put out content over the summertime, but there's going to be a lot of trips that we just go and it's a business trip. It's knocking on doors. We'll probably film a little bit of it to go in like an episode during the season, but there's only so much of that we can film.
Yeah.
But we're going all out. That's for sure. I think this coming year, there's going to be way more content than usual. We're going to have, I think the quality's going up. Like, we're hiring cameramen to follow us around everywhere, which is going to be, it's going to take a load off of all of us.
This year could be
It could be
Epic,
epic or it could
or
be a
could be
huge failure.
horrible.
It could
We're
spend
taking some
a
gambles.
lot of money
We're
traveling.
for sure taking some gambles.
Listen, just the opportunity to go do what we're doing is epic enough. If we're successful,
Oh, that's so sweet.
look, dude,
It's really bringing it home here,
you know,
Team Mom.
Mom is speaking the truth, speaking the gospel.
No, agreed. It's still surreal that we're planning out this like massive season of just traveling and doing what we love, and literally it's our job.
Yeah.
I don't know how we ended up here. I do
I
know
don't-
a lot of hard work, but still just like a total blessing that
Blessed
we're able to
is
do this.
not there's not a word for it. And I still feel at times like super not deserving of where we are.
Mhm.
Just that we've been super blessed along the way. The way everything just kind of happened, and we're very lucky to be here. And I still have people send messages to us that are like kind of talking crap, like, man, I just don't know how y'all, y'all must be doing something ain't right, because there ain't no way y'all are just killing these deer every year. I'm like, dude, we literally do this full time. We don't have another job. This is literally what we do. We can hunt 7 days a week. I'm like, that's a big advantage to your weekend guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
that's my life goal.
that's true. Kendall's still a developer.
I'm still on the work train, but we continue our success, and we will see.
Team Mom needs will continue to grow.
That's right.
Did we cover everything that we were going to talk about? I feel like we
I think so.
Did we? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we're missing stuff, but I feel like that was for not really having that much of a plan for a podcast. I feel like that was fine.
Yeah. I was going to say that I think kind of on that last note that we talked about, just kind of what it took to get here. We get asked all the time about how we got here and like what it took and kind of details behind how we film our hunts, you know, the whole 9 yards, how we started a YouTube channel. I think we do a whole podcast on that
Yeah.
at some
I
point.
think it'd be really cool to
here
unpack
soon.
that.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Because I get that question a lot too.
Mhm.
Like, of course, a lot of younger kids and stuff like interested in like trying to do their own YouTube
channels,
or
yeah.
show or whatever, and like we're an inspiration to a lot of people, which is crazy and amazing and scary in some ways.
Scary in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that'd be a really good episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, next episode might be coming from Michigan.
Potentially. We'll see. I'm gonna bring it with me, and if Andy can meet up with me, we'll rip a podcast. So,
Sounds good.
anyways, I think that's it.
Adios.
Stay classy, San Diego.